This is the life. A chance to visit a museum or two. A touch of retail therapy. Becoming a lady who lunches. Oh, the things I'll have time for when I retire. Today, finding fulfillment after a glamorous life as a model. The man who retired not once but 3 times. And giving up the job you love when you're only in your 30s. Plus treasured hymns from around the country and special performances from Tessera and Lara Martin. How old would you like to be when you retire? 50? 60? In this difficult economic climate, some people are working till 70. And even beyond that. The composer of our first hymn, Basil Harwood, retired from his job as an organist in 1909 when he was just 50. But this great hymn reminds us that from age to age, God is there to guide us along the way. Elizabeth and Ralph Howell had both spent many happy years working as teachers.
We retired in 1995. Ralph was 60. We wanted to get to New Zealand and hire a camper van and do wonderful things around there. The one thing we did manage to do was to get to New England and see the fall. And it was glorious, glorious, yes.
But their retirement plans changed when Ralph decided to train to be a vicar.
Ralph started on an ordination course 3 years into our retirement. 3 days before he was due to be ordained, 3 o'clock in the morning, he was thrashing around in bed and we realised she'd had a major stroke. I just could not in that time take it in and understand why this could possibly have happened.
So it's 12 years on from that stroke now. How are you?
You can walk?
Walk?
Yes, walk a bit. But you can't...
No.
You have very little...
Speech.
But Ralph didn't want the stroke to stop all his plans.
Ralph felt that when he was doing his training that what he would like to do would be particularly to focus on work with older people. So we were looking at ways that we might, even with the stroke, be able to still fulfil that ambition.
That looks like a winning mum.
We started what we called our not home alone lunch because it's only for people who would normally be eating at home alone. The idea was that it should be as close to a family meal as we could make it. And we have a very short, quiet time when people can pray if they want to.
So, Ralph, how can you pray if you aren't able to say it in words?
It's different.
But it's from your
heart, and sometimes you come along,
You can just
hold a hand and pray, and it's I don't know, but it's lovely.
So your retirement didn't quite work out as planned?
No, it certainly didn't. The vision that we had of what we might do wasn't going to be there, but obviously God had other plans for us, and they've been very rewarding.
Retirement seems to be hot news nowadays. The pension age is going up, so we all have to work longer. But our household bills are going up too, which means that many pensioners are living almost in poverty as they struggle to make ends meet. But often it's not a lack of money that's the greatest challenge in retirement, but a lack of purpose. Yvonne Paul retired 9 years ago when she was 59 and found that giving up work was rather depressing after her glamorous life in the world of modelling.
I started, must have been about 1965. I was Elizabeth Taylor's stand-in. My best moment was being dragged out of the bath by Michael Caine. And then 1971, I started my own model agency. It was very glamorous, it was very glitzy, particularly in those days. We were invited to premieres, parties, book launches. I was on TV a lot. I was on the Jonathan Ross show. I did the Kilroy Silk show.
You take the rather unusual step. You won't actually let them wear fur.
We've taken a policy as an agency, and we have 40 models that we don't want to promote fur. We think that it's obscene.
OK, Claire Francis.
I'd been thinking about retiring for about 5 years before I actually did it. I actually sold the agency, but my Friday in the office was the last Friday after, I think, about 37 years. And Monday morning, it was very, very strange that I didn't have to jump up at 7:30. It was a complete shock, actually. I used to say to retired friends, what do you do all day? And they said, well, I go shopping, or I do the garden, and I walk the dog. And I think, yeah, well, I do that too, but it's finished by 10:30 in the morning. What do you do the rest of the day? I was getting increasingly frustrated and bored, and yes, I think probably depressed as well. I looked up all sorts of voluntary work. The one that really attracted me was Great Ormond Street, because it's such a wonderful organisation to be even a tiny, tiny part of. Is it the same doctors all the way through? My job is ward host. The ward I'm on, which is Flamingo, is the cardiac intensive care ward. So you might have a child going down for major, very complicated heart surgery. And some of these operations are 8-10 hours long, and the parents are naturally out of their minds with worry. And my job is to just help and support the parents in any way I can. Do they understand?
My 7-year-old does. He knows math is not well, and he's seen her scars, and he knows what's...
I would say that having the model agency, when I look back on it now, I wouldn't say it's a decadent way of life, but it's a very materialistic way of life. It doesn't bring many of Christian principles into it, whereas working at Great Ormond Street, seeing... I mean, they're not miracles in one way, because the doctors are taught how to fix hearts, but it still is miraculous, the work that goes on there. And what I do is about caring. It's about being kind to people. It's about leading a Christian life.
God sees you. He knows where you are. You are not forgotten, no. God knows you. He chose you. You're spoken of in heaven. Only God can see inside every human heart. Only God really knows you. And God made you. He loves you as you are. You are not just a face in a crowd. God hears you. He's near you, and he's closer than you think. Only God can see inside every human heart. Only God really knows you. And only God, He truly understands the issues of the heart. Only God is you. He's near